Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. This one's all about the new Turbulence setting that came in with Sim Update 12. Now, if you're like me, with Sim Update 11, the turbulence and thermal settings in aircraft like the Cessna 172 here, 152, etc., they just seemed a little bit too extreme and somewhat unrealistic to various settings. Things like scattered clouds or clear skies, you would be thrown around left, right and centre. Well, with Sim Update 12 there's a new setting that some of you simply may not be aware of, and it makes the sim a whole lot more enjoyable. Certainly for me, it brings it back to the way it was, the turbulence and thermals. They're just not quite as extreme as you can see here. So in this video, I'm going to show you where these settings are, and I'm going to do a test flight with various different settings of the turbulence setting to see how it performs in the sim. So if you suffer from motion sickness with Sim Update 11, this could be an answer to your prayers. Okay, let's not dilly-dally and let's not crash into the shard. Let's get on with this video. And okay, here we are at Hoddesdon International, runway 27, London City Airport of course. The perceptive of you may notice that I put a video up yesterday, this video essentially. But after performing Sim Update 12, a lot of my in-sim settings were put down to low settings, and I didn't realise, and I just wasn't happy with the quality of the video. I put my settings back to the way they should be, and hopefully this looks a whole lot better now. Now, let's show you where these new turbulence settings are. Let's go to Options. We'll go under Options to Assistant Options. And under Assistant Options, go to Piloting. If you scroll down under Piloting, at the bottom you'll see a new setting called Turbulence. Now there's three different settings. There's Low, there's Medium, and there's Realistic. I believe by default it's on Low, and a lot of you may not have even noticed this. So the Turbulence is on Low by default. We'll keep it there. Resume, and we'll go for a test flight around London and come back and land at London City Airport. Let's just get in the cockpit. I've got it actually on, I think it's Few Clouds preset. So let's go to live weather. Let me bring up my flow interface. Now I know a lot of you are going to be asking, when is this coming to Xbox? I've not heard. I've reached out to the developers. I've not heard anything back yet, but it should be coming ASAP. Soon, I reckon within a month or two. But while I'll link a video down in the description, one of my flow videos, in case you don't know what it is. I just want to move the time of day forward a bit, and we'll also in flow go to weather, and you can see I've got it on Few Clouds. Let's put it on live weather. I'm in the UK at the moment. Oh dear. Now you can see that windsock ahead there. It's blowing quite a lot. Remember, I've got turbulence in low settings. So let's give this a try. Let's throttle up. Believe the wind's coming from the north if we're on runway 27. I believe that's right. So blowing from the north. And looking outside my windows, I'm on the south coast. It's a blustery day here too. Usually I've got a lot of aircraft. There's one coming towards me. There's another one. Usually I've got a lot of aircraft flying around in this area, and there's none today. I believe because of that wind, it's just a little bit too blustery outside. I've taken off. I'm just trimming up, so I've got a bit of a climb. I've got it in low turbulence setting in live weather. If I release my controls, take my hands off my controls, you can see the aircraft's barely moving. Now listen, if you suffered with motion sickness and you were flying on Sim Update 11 and those thermals and turbulence, there was no way of toning them down essentially in the sim, I believe you're gonna like this setting. You can now fly again. To me, especially on a day like this, that's not realistic, really, is it? We're not being... The aircraft's hardly moving in the wind there. It's not being blown around off course or anything of that sort. So let's go back to options. Let's go to assistant options. Once again, piloting. Scroll down to turbulence. Let's put it on medium. Apply and save, so I'm putting in a little bit of turbulence here effectively. Now I'm being blown around a little bit. As I would expect on a day like this. Now normally, unless I want to give myself a challenge, I wouldn't normally fly if I knew it was so blustery like this outside. Certainly with Sim Update 11 I wouldn't go anywhere near this. Even with medium settings, now I'm not touching my controls there. You can see the aircraft being blown around in the wind. Let's just get outside, show you a visual representation of that. So there you go. And it is quite a blustery day, not a day to be flying aircraft like the Cessna 172 here. You'll be crashing into major landmarks around London. It wouldn't be good at all. Shall we go one more extreme? Let's put it to assistant options. Under piloting, turbulence and realistic. Hold on to your hats, my friends. Let's get outside, show you the effects of that. Actually, let's get back inside because I may be going off course there. It's blowing me. As you can see, if the wind's coming from the north, it's blowing my aircraft. Let's just straighten up. So as you can see, on a day like this, as you would expect, it's blowing my aircraft to the right, essentially, which would be correct. So I've just left go of my controls and my aircraft's being blown more and more to the right because of that wind, as you would expect. So if you want a bit of a challenge, in conditions such as this, high winds, or blustery day, it's a blustery day, it's not massively... Well, according to the weather forecast, it says high winds, but we've had worse winds than this. Hundreds of miles, well, 100-mile winds on, certainly on the south coast here. It's not that kind of weather, but it is blustery. There you go. I'll tell you what, just before we reach the major landmarks here, we'll do a 180, come back towards London City. So this is on live weather. Now typically, depending what the weather's doing, I would change the presets to something like scattered clouds if I'm not quite up to this kind of challenge. Let's go and do that. Let's just change it. It's going to take a moment to update, but let's just put it on scattered clouds. Let that load in. There we go. Now remember, I've got it on realistic turbulence. So I do like a little bit of turbulence in my aircraft. With Sim Update 11 it was just a little bit too extreme and I couldn't really tone it down. And generally I wasn't happy with the whole thermal and turbulence settings prior to Sim Update 12. Now with Sim Update 12 with those new settings, I'm quite happy with that. As you can see, the aircraft's not moving a great deal. There is a little bit of turbulence. Keep in mind, I've got this on. Just remind ourselves, I've got it on. Oops, not points of interest, piloting. I've got it on realistic turbulence, as you can see here. Go back and resume. So there is a little bit of turbulence there under scattered clouds. Is that realistic to the conditions? So this is now realistic settings under scattered clouds. Is that realistic for scattered clouds just to have a tiny bit of turbulence? Maybe not. There is a bit of turbulence. It should maybe be a little bit more dramatic than what's being displayed here. There should be a little bit more turbulence, especially as they're coming into land here. So I'm lowering my altitude, flying through various levels. We should maybe have a little bit more turbulence, but I much prefer this to the state it was with Sim Update 11. Much prefer this. I believe now this gives a much more enjoyable flight model, but it could still do with a little bit of tweaking. Now there we go, I got an airliner or something. Is that an airliner flying towards us? That's alright, we'll just fly under him. There's a little bit of turbulence there. I'm not having much difficulty here though, especially in comparison with Sim Update 11. Just mentioned that for the last time. I do prefer these settings. So there we go, I'll just glide down nicely to the runway here. And we'll just do a quick landing and then pull off the runway to clear it for the other pilots who may be coming in to land. There we go, we could just touch down there and come off to my left. There we go. So okay chaps, that was just a quick test with the new turbulence settings within the sim. I much prefer this now. You can tone it, so you can put it on medium or realistic. Tone it to the way you want it, rather than being given a sim that was just too overzealous with its turbulence. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Were you aware of that new turbulence setting? That'll be interesting. If you weren't, let me know down below. If you are and were aware of it, what do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.